Hi friends, it's Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com, and today I'm sharing two mini witch gnomes and a peek of my craft room that's not set up. If you'd like to make it boop and boop, just stick around. As always, I really appreciate you being here. Please like so I know you're here crafting with me. So we're going to make these two quick cuties, and we're going to start with him. We're going to use some faux fur. This is Mongolian and frosted gray, embroidery thread, a needle, and then any noses you want. I've got some clay, wood beads, wood rounds, and even some half Easter eggs. I'm using stiff felt and any kind of base. You can actually build this entire thing without a base, but people seem to like using styrofoam or pool noodles. So just cut off a little piece of a pool noodle, use a ball, whatever you've got on hand. I'm going to use my blue tape roll as a basis for my hat. This is the brim cut out of stiff felt. I sped that up. I don't really cut circles that fast, which is why I have a Cricut machine. Here's a tip on a witch hat. You will never cut the height shorter than the width of your brim. So just pop your brim on there, look and see how big it is, and cut just that size. It'll be the perfect proportion. And you're going to cut out a square. Now this is stiff felt. So what we're going to do is wrap it around something cylindrical. So I'm using a pencil here, just getting that really solid straight bit out. And then you're just going to take one side and roll it to the other edge. You're going to make it however thick you want and just glue the middle. Do start with the middle, it's easier and you won't burn yourself. So just pop that on there, hold it for a hot second. Stiff felt will bend backward if you don't hold it, so give it a little second. Put together the top, put together the bottom, and now you're gonna say to me, but Sarah, there's this ugly piece on the bottom. I know, we're just gonna cut that off. Now, you don't have to be precise about this because honestly, it's a witch's hat, but you do want to get it mostly straight. So just pop it down on the table, and if it doesn't wobble, you're good. See that? All right, let's clean up our space here and move on. I'm going to use this styrofoam ball that I obviously drew a line and have no idea what it was for, but I need it to fit a little tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly fold the brim in half both ways and make a tiny little snip so that I can get my scissors in there. Now don't go wild with this or you'll be cutting another brim. What we want to do is just cut a tiny little bit, maybe at most a ½ inch around the brim. And the reason I say that is because in the next step, after we put on the fur, is when we're really going to size this opening for the fur. Speaking of which, this is Mongolian. I get people sending me pictures on the right and the left wondering what it is. The right is just brushed out, the left is just crinkled up with your fingers. It's really the most awesome fur. All right, so what we're gonna do is cut a piece of fur that's gonna go around your little foam. So again, if you're using an Easter egg, if you're using a scrap of a pool noodle, whatever it is, grab a razor blade or an X-Acto knife, cut only the fur backing. You just need to score it because what you wanna do is yank it apart and get this nice long fur without hacking any off. So I have a little bit up at the top here that I'm gonna cut off, but not toss. Never toss faux fur. It's an expensive item. All right, so now I'm just gonna make sure the pile is pointing down and we're gonna wrap this around. Oh no, it's too small. Sorry, I'm feeling a bit lively today. So it is too small, but do not worry because all we're gonna be doing is joining this thing at the bottom anyway. Now I've shared an entire video on how to piece together faux fur without anybody knowing, but I'm gonna show you again here. We're just going to glue this on as far as that fur will get around. Okay, move it out of the way. And then we're going to glue this bottom bit. Make sure you bring those two pieces into the middle. And then you're just going to glue a little bit underneath so that we make sure that fur is going to adhere to our ball or egg or whatever. And when you brush it out, oops, you still see that hole in the back, right? Watch. Looking good, looking good. There's a hole. Okay, so what we're gonna do is take that little scrap of fur that we had before and hack off a little piece that's gonna fit the backing on the inside of the backing of our piece here. So what we wanna do is fill only the backing hole. Don't overlap the fur backing, okay? I could say backing like 5 more times and it would be even more annoying. Sorry, I just want to make sure. I'm going to put that link to the video up so that you can know how to piece together faux fur. All right, so now that we have our fur on, now we're going to expand very slightly our cuts. So we're going to do two things. Number one, we're going to just expand them like 1/4 inch or so at a time to make sure we don't go too big. And then we're going to split the triangles. So what I'm doing is instead of having 4 separate triangles, I'm going to get 8. And that's going to allow for the best fit and the best adhesion. So you can see now when you pull it down, you're just going to pull it down to where it just covers the fabric. So I'm going to show you in just a second. I'm going to glue this part on at the bottom, leaving the top open, pulling it all the way around. And you can see if you look on the underside, there's no white ball showing. That's the goal. All right, now that we have that, you're going to see me burn myself because apparently I forgot how to craft while moving from Seattle to Texas. I'm going to go get my little thingies so I don't burn my fingers. Glue all those little tabs down. You want to make sure they're pretty secure. Isn't this easy? I love easy crafts. I figured I had to get myself back into crafting with something light and simple. All right, so now I'm just going to take the embroidery thread and some bright orange embroidery, no, and a needle and embroidery thread. I'm just going to create a quick hanger for this. Double knot it, and now decide on a nose. I have a clay, a wood, and this little half Easter egg, which are for a different project I cannot wait to share with you, but I thought it looked like a cool nose, so it became a nose. I split the fur to the fabric backing, added glue, and then put on the nose. I'm going to give you a hint about this. Your best bet is to do nothing at all. After you put the glue on just the raised part of the brim, and the inside edge of the cone, you're going to attach these and sort of squish the cone. I don't know why I just had to stretch out my hands there, but you're just going to squish the bottom of the cone onto the rise of the brim, okay? So those little triangles. Your best bet is not to mess with it. Just get it on there, adhere it, and then stop, okay? Watch. I'm going to show you. I just barely get it on, and if you move it, it will still move because it's not solid yet. So I'm showing you here. I let it sit and then set it aside so it could sit some more. Dollar Tree for the win here. I have spider skulls and bats. I'm going to cut off the ring portion and use this bath brush I got from the Dollar Tree as ribbon. A while back I made this just to get back into my new craft room, and I used this as the ribbon. I really liked it actually because I also used it on the book that I crafted for that to sit on. So if you are looking for something a little spooky and creepy, this is a real fun option, and it tears really well. It doesn't stay knotted on its own, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue into some strategic places and then hack off the edge. I just want it kind of hanging off. So again, I'm going to cut this little bat down to size, glue it on the side, and then use my heat gun to get all of my glue strings off, brush out his luscious fur, and here he is. And you can also see my craft room is blank. So I just put up those pieces of furniture, and we'll be stocking them soon. All right, so what do you think of this guy? Let me know down in the comments. And now that we have him done, we're gonna move on to this. So for our mini witch, I'm using a 3-inch cone made of wood that I got on Etsy for a different project, but I saw it. We're going to use some faux fur black chalkboard paint from the Dollar Tree and a wood bead for a nose. So I'm going to trace the bottom of the cone and then add a 1/2 inch. This is a great way you can do this with big styrofoam cones and small ones. You're basically just going to create a bigger brim than the base of your body. So I'm just going to cut that out real quick and paint my wooden cone with the chalkboard paint, hit it with the heat gun, and then paint the bottom as well so I have none of that natural wood showing. Next up, I'm going to fold the hat the same way as I did before to get a tiny little snip. Now for this one, do be very careful. I am just going to show you, okay, that's a little small. Let's do a little bit more, but I'm going to show you how you get the tip is just by cutting off 2 of the 4 little triangles, okay? And the best part about this is you can hit your stiff felt with a heat gun very lightly, and you can even bend the brim. All right, so now you can see this is what my little hat is gonna look like, so tiny. I'm also going to cut 2 tiny snips of faux fur from that fabric scrap, and I'm just gonna create a little square and then another little square to match it using the same method to cut the faux fur as I used before. I'm going to glue the backing together so you'll have a front and a back. And just repeat that for the other piece as well. And those are going to be my braids. No, I'm not braiding them because I would think that that would be a study in frustration. I'm trying to ease myself back in. So I just glued those to either side of my little cone, making sure that the join was at the back and making sure they were mostly even on the body. There you go. All right, now the cool part is you can put the hat down and just slightly pull it over the top. Okay, not that far because I got a little poking out there. But what you're going to do is pull it down slightly over the top of the faux fur and then glue that hat into place. Do a tiny little dot in the front, which we'll cover with the nose, and then do some in the back as well. For the nose, I'm just going to glue it to both the body and the brim of the hat, and I'm just going to hide the hole pointing up. There you go, right there. And that's done. For my accent to match my hanging, which I just added a tiny little piece of that same orange embroidery thread and did a swirl on the top of her hat just by tacking it down in a few places. It's super cute. My daughter came home and said, "I love the swirl." For the bat accent, after I hit it with the heat gun to remove any of those heat strings, glue gun strings, I hit the bat with the heat gun and then let it cool over the top edge of the bottle, and that conforms the bat to the little top of the witch's hat. Boop! And there you can see it's solid on there, and she's done. I love her. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite, the tiny little girl or this hanging fella. As always, thanks for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe for more crafty fun.